Twitch handle Web3 Warriors?
Yeah.
This is all recorded, right? All that?
Of course.
Yeah. Put it in the chat up there. I'm assuming this is all recorded, right? All that?
Of course. You want to have your mic muted on, or your tab muted, so it doesn't echo on our end. So I can hear myself. You want to have your mic muted, or your tab muted.
I don't know if I'm getting too crazy. Doing this, I might be. Oh, I have that idea.
Yeah, I lost your face on there, Locutus.
Yeah, my box is up there, right?
Yeah, it's showing the space, but I already have the space on the screen, so it'll have the space twice. It'll be better if you keep your face on there.
Copy.
Word. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're joining us from around the world. Welcome to Web3 Warriors, episode 57, featuring MetaDre, also known as Locutus or Andres in IRL, joining us live from the metaverse, creator of MetaDre Productions. And we're going to be talking to him about a really cool concept he's got, kind of blending IRL events with the metaverse and NFTs. Welcome, Andres. How you doing?
What's up, David? Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining. Looking forward to chatting metaverse and getting real nerdy and gamer vibes here. And thank you for joining us in the metaverse with your Matrix-looking filter there. Anyone not joining on the live stream is definitely missing out today, but we'll have it in the video recordings of the archives as well, of course, for anyone who's just listening to the audio. But yes, welcome everybody to Web3 Warriors. I'm David Karoma. I go by Chrome in the metaverse. I'm your host. And as we always do with Web3 Warriors, we're really just looking at different angles of this creator economy that's being built on the blockchain in the metaverse, in this new Web3 space that is all about digital sovereignty, digital ownership, and really taking financial sovereignty of your life and having more opportunities on the blockchain and in this global space that we know as Web3. So today we are looking at, how is it that Web3 and NFTs and the metaverse can impact IRL events. Something we've talked about a lot on this show is the idea of events taking place in the metaverse and people being able to join the event from anywhere in the world. And one of the big advantages of the metaverse and Web3, especially on the blockchain where you have real sovereign ownership of your digital assets, is being able to basically take advantage and to take part in events that are happening, anywhere in the world, at least digitally. So looking at that and kind of expanding upon that, how can you then flip that on its head to really say even IRL events, in a club, for example, can actually extend into the metaverse, and what does that look like? A club having an event space and having an actual event happening, but also having the metaverse maybe on a screen or two screens or maybe on all the walls, showing other people in the digital space taking part in the event in their own way as well. And what does that look like? So some key concepts that we've looked at in the past, of course, is the NFT ticketing idea, which is definitely one avenue when it looks at IRL events and how NFTs can be used, basically allowing you to have all kinds of perks in the metaverse. Maybe you get another free wearable or things like that if you purchase the NFT or you purchase the ticket as an NFT for the event. But beyond that, as I just mentioned, there's also the extension of the club experience into the digital space. There's allowing for remote participation of anybody kind of globally. So it's really, really cool, and it's opening up a whole bunch of new opportunities. But it's not very popular yet, I would say, as far as, at least in my experience, looking at a lot of IRL events. I don't know that they're thinking about how do we push the boundaries, into the metaverse. So with that, part of our show here at Web3 Warriors is also pushing the boundaries into the metaverse. It's why we do a live stream every Saturday morning. Thank you for those of you who are joining on the live stream. If you do have any questions, definitely feel free to ask them. We always have an NFT giveaway for the most thought-provoking question if you have any. We also invite you to drop into our metaverse space at web3warriors.io, where you can find the guest book and you can find a bunch of our NFTs on the wall showing some of our collection there. And if you sign the guest book at web3warriors.io, you are entered into a draw for a limited edition Avril 15 derivative wearable created by Jagar, a very awesome wearable, and definitely hope you can sign that guest book, and we look forward to having a party in the metaverse later this year as well. So with that, definitely thank you for joining. Really excited about talking to Andres and hearing about his plans for the metaverse and for MetaDre Productions. Maybe before we jump into that and really dig into some of the more technical details behind what you're doing, Andres, I'd love to hear just a little bit about your background and what brought you to Web3 and, why are you so kind of invested in the space? Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah. A little bit of background about me. So I came up a nerd. Like I was short, fat, play video games all day long, right? And I'm just trying to get back to that.
No doubt. The inner child, right?
Yep. I miss it, and like the best time of my life is hanging out with my friends and, just being in a basement for like 10, 12 hours a day, and we're literally just doing nothing but playing video games and enjoying each other's company, right? And that for me, those were just the best times. And um, I was stupid. I ended up like going to college and then going to law school and like just chasing money and doing all the dumb shit, right? That like society tells you to do. And you get caught up in that. But something was nagging at me, right? And it was when I found you guys on Clubhouse, and I was like, all right, there's something really cool here that's happening, right? In the space, and kind of combining everything that I was into back in the day, and just a new version of it, right? A new dimension, right? Of the tech and culture and all that, and they just kept nagging at me. I kept on seeing the pings that hey, that there's a new room and David's talking in, and let's go see what's happening here. And
no doubt.
I like hanging out with you guys, and I just kept on going from there. And the conversation kept spinning. My my wheels were turning. I was like, oh, this stuff's pretty cool. Like this tech here. How can we take it further, right? What can we do that's better and that's next? And I can't get it out of my head now.
No doubt. So you did the law school route, you did the college route. Definitely not stupid. I got my own college degree too. It's some people like to bash the arts diploma, but I'm proud of my arts degree. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. No, I didn't realize. Like this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right. Like this is like the shit that matters. And for sure, like the degrees help you, right, move this further along. Like there's definitely doors that open, right, for that, depending on what it is that you want to do. But for me, I just want to hang out with friends now, right?
I hear you. And I often say that NFTs are kind of the gamification of life, They've added, like, if you were an art collector before, art collecting in NFTs is that much more gamified and kind of fun in my perspective as someone who was a bit of an art collector before, but NFTs made it possible to be a real kind of prolific art collector and find artists from all these different corners of the world and actually collect their art on the blockchain. But yeah, I think to your point, definitely the gaming vibes is what brought me into here, and the idea that the metaverse, I was already kind of, like you said, escaping to digital worlds. I love to relax, hang out with my friends, play esports, maybe run around in Grand Theft Auto, whatever the case may be, online. Mm-hmm. So that idea of like the digital world being a destination that's fun and entertaining was already there for most of us who enjoy the gaming side. But then to add the idea that there's real world value in the digital world, right? And that these digital assets we can actually trade and own and create, and then have actual real world value attached to it, I think was really what kind of sucked me in. And then to your other point, the community is what kept me here, having those pings and being able to touch base with groups of like-minded people and really build something amazing here. So with that, maybe give us a little bit of a breakdown of, what is MetaDre Productions really aiming to do, and what is kind of your concept? We're hanging out here in the metaverse at the Fifth Dimension space, which is a space that you've curated and created using a lot of really interesting AI GAN art and a really cool kind of purple and green vibes to be part of the club experience. But yeah, tell us a little bit about MetaDre and what's the goal that you're aiming for?
Sure. So I want to so about 8 months ago now, last summer, just really decided to go 2 feet in and really explore and understand how I can combine all the tech and bring it to IRL. I think that's immediately what monetization looks like in the space. I see a lot of opportunities in producing, right? Whether it's events, whether it's television, whether it's film, right? Whether it's gaming, right? Whether it's games, so to be able to combine, right, the digital aspects into real world things. So what does that look like? It looks like a million different things, and we'll go over some of them, right, on this podcast.
Sure.
But my initial foray into all this was, all right, so my girlfriend, she says, hey, let's go to this disco party, right? And I'm like, all right, fine, let's go. I love music. It's also been a huge passion growing up. I look at the bill, and there was nobody famous on this. I was like, okay, whatever, let's go. I just want to have a good night, hang out there. And we get to the place, and the place was packed. I'm like, yo, what the hell, right? So there's nobody famous, right? But like, why is it so busy? Mm-hmm. And I'm walking in, right? And it was pretty cool because the venue was 2 separate clubs. It was a disco party and a hip hop party right next to each other, right? And in between the 2 parties was Kochek. I was like, oh, this is a pretty cool place, right? So I'm going to see people, and I get underneath the disco ball, right? And then the edibles hit. And I have my little epiphany, right? So
no doubt.
I look up at the building occupancy sign. That says 720 people. And I was like, huh, we paid $30 a ticket to get in here, right? 720 people at $30 ticket. That's 21 grand at the door alone. I was like, wait a minute, right? So I came from real estate, right? So I look up on the app, right, how much it costs to buy that building, right? And that building at the time was selling for it was a 20,000 square foot warehouse. It was selling at the time for $500 a foot roughly in that area. So 20,000 times $500 a foot, that's 10 million to buy that building. 10 million, if you get a mortgage back then, right, around like 5%, right, your mortgage would have been 60 grand a month, right? 60 grand a month is your mortgage, and you made 21 grand in a night. And I was like, wait a minute, these numbers are kind of silly, right? So that's really what like got me thinking. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. So I was just looking at other venues right nearby me. So there's a place called the Knockdown Center in Maspeth, and it's a very popular club. It's just a crazy venue. And that place is a 4,000 person capacity, I believe, and 4,000 people at $30 a ticket, right? That's 120 grand a night if you pack it out, right? There's like Brooklyn Mirage, which is like probably the most famous venue I think we have in the boroughs right now, and that's 10,000 person capacity, right? 10,000 people, and they fly in big DJs, right? They're not charging $30 a ticket; they're charging $50 a ticket.
10,000 people. That's like an arena.
It is. The place is huge. 10,000 people at $50 a ticket, right? That's 500,000, right? And I'm like, yo, what? These numbers are stupid. Like, what do I got to do that, right? So, I've been just trying to figure that out. So I've been throwing parties since last summer. I had my first party. Actually, can we let's see? Can we walk around?
Yeah.
New pull up voxels. The dimension. I want to walk up to that.
I'm in the Fifth Dimensions place right now. I'm at the top on the upstairs looking at these cool posters.
Go into. I'm gonna walk in with you. Go into the hallway.
All right.
And meet me in front of this flyer over here. So there's a poster right here on the wall. What is love?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if your audience can see that, right? So that was my first party I had was August 6th, 2022, right? So if you click on that poster, right, there's a link. You can jump in to the first metaverse that we built out for it, right? This is a voxel space that we built out specifically for that event. And it was built out by K-Bot, so shout out to K-Bot.
Wow,
so
nice.
he built out this space called the Mothership.
It's got a little Star Trek ship on the top.
Yeah.
That's sick.
And giving homage to, you see the bartender on the right? That's Quark from Star Trek also. So,
No doubt.
So yeah. So these are all Twitch screens, right? So in the Twitch screens, we're live streaming, right, the event. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to screen share with you a quick video of what that event looked like in real life. All right.
Okay, sure. Check this out.
Yeah.
Everybody watching in the live stream getting a treat. Wow. Shout out to K-Bot, man. This is dope. This looks like a real alien spaceship you got going on here.
This guy is the truth.
Next level.
So I'm jumping in here now, and then let me screen share screen, start sharing, start now. Okay. All right, cool. So I'm pretty sure I have the claim to the first metaverse party, right, in New York City. So let me show you what this looks like now. So this video.
No big deal. Small flex.
Yeah. This is the mothership, and in the mothership we're live streaming the event, right? So you can see the venue.
Nice.
Yeah.
Coming through a little choppy, but I can see it definitely. So you got the venue, you're actually at the DJ booth, and then behind it is the Star Trek mothership vibe on the screen. So you've got like we were mentioning off the top of the show, kind of the extension of the IRL event into the metaverse. And how were you kind of engaging as far as participation in the metaverse? Were people in the metaverse able to see the club as well, I guess, by clicking on the Twitch screens?
Yeah, so let me stop sharing right here real quick. So the way that worked, and let me share back on here. Am I back on with the, let's see, I'm trying to make sure we're good on here. Cool. All right, so yeah, the way that worked is we had QR codes posted up on all the walls of the venue. So people who walked in there, right, we'd say, hey, scan the QR code, and now you're in the metaverse and the party at the same time, right? So when people sat down at the bar, they scan the QR code, right? They're on the phones, so like, what the hell is this? And I say, oh, look up. And they look up and they see themselves on the TV screen, the same thing they're looking at on the phone. They're like, oh shit, this is pretty cool, right?
Nice.
So that was that concept. And so what I did then, I wanted to take that one step further, right? And now for the next event, we had a Halloween party, and that was in Yonkers. I'm gonna share my phone screen one more time, and I'm gonna show you what that event looked like.
Lieutenant Soul Leopard. How many different names you got, man?
Yeah, I've lived a million lives. So for this party, we had 3 projectors in the venue, and we were live streaming over 7 different metaverses. Right. Wow. So, and this is the first one where we could like really map it out big enough where it matched the size of the avatar with humans. Right. So now when you have people jumping in, right, to that metaverse, they essentially are the same size as you. So it looks like they're joining the party with you, right? Mm-hmm. Virtually. Like legit. Like when someone walks in, like they pop on the wall, but they're another like human sized thing that's with you. So nice. Yeah. So let's stop trying here again. Let's get back over to here. All right. So
dope, man.
Thanks. So the next thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to, again, expand on that, right, and just keep taking it further. What I would love to do, I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's that same concept of the Halloween party where we had it mapped out pretty much 1-to-1 with the avatars. I want to do that, but have projection mapping along the entire venue. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to doing, probably sometime this summer, if not in the fall for sure. And then for NFT NYC, we are going to be playing with 360 video production and then bringing that into the metaverse as well.
That's dope. So I'm wondering for that, for NFT NYC is kind of my next question as far as, I'm excited, obviously, to take part in the event IRL in person. And help out any way I can. But looking at the fact that we know, like, we both involved with Storytime DAO, right? Also part of the Dream Conduit community. Shout out to those communities. But, there'll be some people who can't be at NFT NYC from those communities. And I imagine if there's the opportunity to kind of see the event happening remotely, we got Low Sleazy performing there. We got a lot of people from the community going to be hanging out there. So I think there'll be an appetite for a lot of people to maybe check out what's happening remotely from the metaverse. So just like you did here with this mothership, you're planning to kind of do the same thing at NYC. And then how do you see people kind of taking part remotely?
Sure. So the same ways that we've been doing it before, where we stream the event in Voxels, Spatial, Decentraland, right, Mona. We're gonna have all the major players, right, that will be streaming this party, and they'll be 2D streamed the same way. By 2D, I mean it's what you just saw, right? Mm-hmm. It's just gonna be a flat image, but now we're incorporating 360 tech. So I'm actually gonna share with you one more. Let's go back over here.
Dope. Yeah, I can see how 360 cameras will definitely add another level of kind of immersion or feeling like you're actually there taking part in the event.
Oh yeah. Let's see. All right, so this one is a site that a lot of people don't really know about yet, but I think they're going to be a force to contend with. Swivel Meta. So Swivel has been just, I think, practically one of the best metaverses that's being built out right now. What they do, I'm joining this guest, check the avatar.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about Swivel Meta. I didn't get a chance to actually check it out yet myself.
Yeah, Swivel's great. So shout out to Biometa. Biometa is someone who I met. I forgot how I met him. I think I just heard him on a Twitter space, and I kind of just kept following him. We kept in touch, and now we talk probably like 3 or 4 times a week because he really has become a partner. So we do metaverse broadcasting, and what that looks like is just streaming right over a bunch of different platforms at the same time, and curating our content. So over here, right, this is just more of what this space looks like, and
that looks like a real spaceship there too.
Yeah. The cool thing about Swivel Meta, right? So again, it's browser based, okay? So anyone can jump in with the QR code, right, when they're at a real life event, right? But also when you're doing that, right? You see these pods over here, right? Like it says podcast pod 2 on this little pod right here. When you click on that, you can now enter into a 360 space inside a metaverse.
Wow. And what's the 360? It's like a cave or something? It's like an actual camera somewhere?
Exactly. This is a waterfall. So it's a little choppy on the screen, but that's a video of the waterfall, right? Wow. So that's a 360 video, right? That you can have inside of a metaverse, right? And so if I click on this arrow right here, I'm just gonna let it sit a little bit so people watching can see the waterfall, right? So if I click on this arrow, jump back in, up, and I see Biometa right there. He's also hanging out.
Nice. So this is live right now? That's a live shot of the metaverse?
Yeah, this is live right now in Swivel Meta, and there's Biometa right there hanging out. Yeah.
Nice. So you're saying Swivel Meta has kind of the best integration of 360 cameras? Is that what you're saying?
Right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
But in theory, you could stream a 360 camera through YouTube and then just play that on like Voxels or Decentraland, right?
Exactly, but Swivel is the only one right now that has 360 live streaming capability.
So if you're live streaming from a 360 cam using YouTube, if you looked at it on Voxels, you wouldn't be able to actually do the click and grab and look around 360 view in Voxels. No,
I don't think so right now. Because I think it only displays in 2D. But we can test it out. But the thing is that for you, so with Voxels right now, you have to drop in a YouTube link, and it's just a link, right? In Voxels.
Yeah.
That link, from what I understand, when it plays on your device, on what it thinks that it's playing on, it's then going to activate its 360 functionality. And if it's starting to play in a voxel space instead of a native YouTube playing app, like the YouTube app itself, right? It's not going to let you, right?
You're right. Yeah. Now that you mention it, that's right. I can remember because you shared that Gorillas video, which is a 360 video, right? And I actually had to go into the YouTube app in order to get the full 360 functionality. So even just on a browser, I guess you can't even get the full 360 functionality. So it makes sense that you wouldn't necessarily get it on the Voxels or Decentraland as well.
Yeah.
Very cool, man. Well, that's really key learning right there. I think 360 cams, even though they've been out for a minute, they're definitely still a little bit ahead of the game. They're not super widely used. And I think this use case for remotely experiencing an event is like the perfect use case for a 360 camera, especially through the metaverse. Definitely really dope, man.
I'm trying to get this camera ASAP because what I want to do is not just for my event, but for NFT NYC to be streaming that with Storytime DAO, right? Like we can set up the 360 camera in front of the library, right? In the conferences,
anywhere,
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And we could broadcast that across every metaverse.
But to do it remotely like that, you would have to have kind of pretty strong cellular Wi-Fi or some type of good.
Regular. It's your regular 5G signal, and that's all.
Some of them do 5G. The camera has it built in.
So Insta360 X3 is right now the camera that is choice, right, for live streaming 360
with 5G built in.
That's it hooks up to your phone cell phone signal, so it runs off your phone.
Okay, yeah. So you use the cellular internet. Very cool, man. Yeah, that's going to be next level, man. You're ahead of the game if you can get that 360 activated, and I think you've got the line on that real merge of the metaverse and the IRL club. So on that point, what is the real benefit? I think we've hit on a little bit of it, but maybe to elaborate a bit further, why enhance the club experience with the metaverse?
Why enhance the club experience? So I'm doing these parties, right, and I'm trying to figure out what makes the most sense into combining all of this, right, and into putting everything together. And so what I learned the hard way was that marketing is the most important thing for any event, right? Is getting the people in there and getting you to pay you money, right, to be there. So for me, I'm trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way to really bring in people other than just having a regular club night? Like, what's the difference between just having a DJ there and not? And it's, for me, my angle and what I want to be known as in the branding is my technology, right? Every time that you come to a MetaDre event, you know that you're going to be seeing the most cutting edge innovation of all this technology,
That's
right?
dope.
And that should be enough for a ticket, right? Be like, oh yeah, you're gonna see some shit you've never seen before, ever, right? So you're getting value out of just even showing up, and then you're gonna listen to some amazing music and some amazing artists. Yeah,
Word. That's what's
yeah.
up. That's what's up. And so looking at that NFT side of it, right? How are you looking to integrate the NFT? Like, are you going to use an NFT as a ticket? I know the one in New York, for example, is free 99, so you don't necessarily have to pay to take advantage. But how are you looking to integrate the NFTs?
Yeah, so for everything that everyone probably already can figure out as far as how tickets work, right? We'll be token gating the metaverse, right? We'll be token gating the actual event, right? It's all the same use case scenarios. It's going to be just like the swivel I just showed you. For April 14th, if I want to set up, which I don't, but if I wanted to set it up where people just wanted to jump in virtually and watch Lil Sleazy perform, right, at NFC NYC, they could pay, $1, $5, right, to have access to jump into that podcast pod, right, to then be able to say, hey, listen, I can now watch the concert in 3D, right, from my phone.
Word. No, that makes sense. And I guess to your point about it being free, looking at the opportunity to still integrate a free token, a free NFT, whether it's like a proof of participation. We've looked at Illust, right? Looking at the AR angle and what's possible with activating AR NFTs, where you could actually have an NFT planted at the event, right, that is in AR, so they would have to bring up the app and look at it through the AR filter, but then you have the opportunity to actually purchase NFTs there at the event through AR. Have you looked at maybe integrating AR? Shout out to Illust. I know they're interested in potentially connecting with us, Storytime DAO in New York, and really trying to do more art in AR, in the AR metaverse, and really promoting kind of NFTs that way. Are you looking at integrating in the event NFTs and AR at all?
Absolutely. And on this show, the first time I'm announcing it, there will be NFTs that will be free under the Illust AR right map that we're going to unveil. And once you get a POAP out of that, those POAPs are going to be free admission to the next event that we throw.
Boom, there you go. And I think they're pops with them, right? Slight distinction.
Pops, yeah.
Proof of participation. Yeah. No, it's really cool. Shout out to Illust. So what they've done is really taken what they said was kind of the combination of Google Maps and POAPs. POAPs have been a proof of attendance protocol, which was out since the early days of 2021, with people who take advantage or take part in any Web3 NFT related event being able to claim a POAP, a proof of attendance protocol. But now with this, you have the ability to actually attach this proof of participation from Illust to an actual AR location. So you have to go there in real life, in person, to actually claim the NFT. So it's really cool. Yeah, I can imagine at the event having that opportunity for people who are there in real life to claim the pop. And then once you have that pop on your wallet, you're able to use that at future events to say, hey, you were at the last one. You can prove it with this proof of participation, and you get a free admission or you get a free drink or whatever the case may be. So that's really dope. That's a dope announcement, man. That's exciting. So how do you see that from a visual angle, and how do you plan to kind of raise awareness of it, right? Because I think that's something when it comes to AR, that's always a challenge. Increasing participation, getting buy-in, having people really see the value in the AR metaverse. So how do you plan to kind of market that a little bit and pitch it?
I want to integrate it with what Storytime DAO will be doing and what with Lil Sleazy is going to be doing, right? So these are going to be 3 different AR campaigns, right, that are going to be launching at the same time, and they're all going to have different functionality, but it's to benefit the community. It's to benefit, our ecosystem, right? To just show that, hey, listen, we're all working together in separate, right, but together capacities, and we're just going to support each other. That's what we're here for, right? That's the whole point of all this.
No doubt. That's awesome, man. So what do you think, being in NYC, right, being based there, and like you just mentioned already, soft pitch as far as the first metaverse event in NYC, do you think that NYC is well positioned to kind of lead on this? And how do you plan to kind of take advantage of your location there if it works well?
Yeah, 100% right. Well, location. I mean, last year was nuts, right? The amount of satellite events that happened for NFT
Yeah, it
NYC
was
was
wild.
just, yeah, it was insane, and just geographically, right? To be able to have the boroughs to kind of just jump around and have these different experiences. If you're someone who's traveling from out of state, right? For you, it's a wonderland, especially if it's in tech, right? Forget it. It's like Disneyland for tech. You're literally just like walking across, like, instead of like Disneyland Park, right? You're walking, just like you're taking the subway to different boroughs, but you're like entering
Yeah.
into new worlds and new experiences, and even more niche and nuanced, right? In these boroughs, right, you have different events that are happening, and there's just an unlimited, right, capacity of things that we can do to just enjoy each other's company and experience new technology together. So yeah, I think NYC is just it's an amazing place to be for this tech that's coming up. And I'm just looking forward to just creating new experiences. I'll give another teaser too. I've been talking to journalists about doing an event for the fall.
Nice.
Completely, yeah, it's going to be more geared to an adult demographic. So stay tuned for that. Right, there's going
No
to
doubt.
yeah, there's just an infinite amount of possibilities that can happen right during this week for all of us. So I'm really
And
excited.
what has the sentiment been like so far as you kind of promote this and pitch what you're doing out there? Like you said, NFT NYC is a buzz. You know, it was amazing. My first experience in New York, got to meet you in person, got to meet a lot of other Web3 community people in person, made it all more real. But more importantly, actual business connections, actual ideas, even this concept you have, right? I think might have been kind of started at that point, right?
Yeah.
You know, inspired by a lot of that conversation. I think you were still working at the law office at that point. So, yeah, I guess how do you see what's the sentiment like out there, outside of the kind of Web3 natives, those of us who are fully, or Web3 beatniks, as you've said? I think you coined that term. But outside of our kind of crew, what is the sentiment like in New York? I know regulation wise it's kind of tough for crypto, right? But
Yeah.
are people interested in general when you talk about this kind of merging of the metaverse and the club?
No. I have to like pull out my phone to like everyone and like really like walk them through and explain to them like how it's all like. And at the end, they're like, "Oh yeah, that's pretty cool, right?" Like I'd be down to go, and that's the thing. I have to like go through this whole pitch. But if you
Right.
just go to someone and tell somebody, "Hey, by the way, we're having a metaverse right club experience. Come by," doesn't work, right? Because they just won't connect it. They won't understand, I guess the potentials of the possibilities that the tech can bring yet until you have to like walk them through the whole process. So it's still a ways away,
No
right?
doubt.
To
And
get to that point.
do you think getting community buy-in from, I hate the word influencer, but maybe like celebrities, or like, obviously New York's got a crazy art scene, a crazy music scene, so even like one or two like really prominent people kind of buying into one of your events, and you don't even make the event necessarily about the metaverse or Web3 angle, but you make it about that celebrity, or maybe even just influential person from the community. Have you looked at going that route? Do you think that that's kind of part of the piece that's missing? Just not enough quote unquote cool people doing it. Like,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. Yeah, and to take that one step further, I mean, that's the whole purpose behind MetaDre Productions. So what I am is a production company, right?
Hmm.
So if there is now someone who wants to throw an event, right, and it's not necessarily Web3 or NFT or crypto based, right, but just wants to incorporate this technology into it, right? I want to be the forefront of that, right? I want to be the guy who says, "Yeah, I got you. Whatever you want to do, I got you," right? So like, I'll give you an example. I have a friend who she produces fashion shows, right? And she just didn't know how to incorporate this technology into it, right? She called me up. She knew that I did this, right? So now we're talking and planning something for the fall, right? Not, Web3 unrelated, but just incorporating VR, right? Metaverse, NFTs, AR, all the tech, right? To just take her fashion show to that next level.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, that's exciting. And
Yeah.
fashion, I think, is another one that's a no-brainer, because again, you're getting such a global community. Fashion community is very global, and you have this opportunity to pitch an event that, yes, it happens IRL, and the people that are there in person maybe get the full breadth of the experience, but you have this extension in the metaverse, and you have this opportunity for fashion influencers, people who just want to know what's happening in the space, especially in New York, which is kind of the heart of fashion, between that and Paris, right? So yeah, it's really exciting to see an example like that, like how we're bringing the global community together through the metaverse and basically increasing accessibility, right? And is that usually the angle that people like who have reached out to you looking to kind of incorporate the metaverse are taking? Like, they're less interested in maybe Web3 and NFTs and more just about kind of accessibility?
for sure. Yeah. We both met Adrian last time at NFT NYC, and then she afterwards, reached out to me because she was having another event for some businesses that she was working with up in Harlem, and exactly the same thing, right? So how do I just bring this tech into that space, right? How do I do that? And it wasn't necessarily Web3 at all related. It was just something that someone wanted to add on as a feature, right? To whatever it is that they're already doing.
No doubt, no doubt. And so how important do you think the Web3 angle is, right? So you just mentioned Swivel, and I didn't actually ask, is there a Web3 NFT wallet connection with Swivel? And how important do you think that is? As, I think from an event standpoint, there's a lot of non-Web3, non-blockchain metaverse spaces that can help also, expand an event and offer space. But then on the flip side, maybe when you're looking at NFTs and looking at wearables and what's possible, only certain metaverses will really allow you to bring in, a wearable or allow you to trade wearables in a decentralized way. So how important do you think that NFT angle is, or the Web3 angle?
Very important, but so I have knowledge right now that there are people working on systems, right, to be able to integrate cross-chain capabilities with NFTs into any platform, right? The platform doesn't necessarily have to be built on a chain, right? It can be a proprietary system like Amazon, right? But still then incorporate Ethereum, right? Tez and right, and so and it's going to get to that point, right? The tech is going to get to that point where everything's going to be integrated all at once. So it's not going to really matter as to where the virtual space is held on, and I think it's gonna be a good thing for the community because at the end of the day, it just helps the creators. So I'll give you an example. So like right now, that Blizzard, World of Warcraft is working on their own space. Grand Theft Auto is working on their own metaverse, right? Facebook is working on their own metaverse, right? All these big Call of Duty, right? They're all working in their own capacities in their own different virtual spaces. But now as a creator, right, say I want to create something that is translatable to all of them. I'm going to create a hat, right? It's going to be the MetaDre hat. It's going to be a green hat, right? And you'll know that it came from the MetaDre store, right? So when you're walking through these different spaces, right, you'll know that that's the value, whatever it is that you attach to that. So for me as a creator, I'm excited about that because it just gives me more opportunity and more accessibility to get my brand out there, my product out there, and what it is that I'm working on.
No doubt, no doubt. And ultimately, I guess the NFT or Web3 angle is only a link away, no matter what kind of metaverse you're in, right?
Exactly.
It's just a matter of being able to click out. Yeah. And so you mentioned the MetaDre hat. Are you looking at kind of incorporating phygital angles to your business, to MetaDre Productions? The whole concept is a phygital concept, right? So you got the IRL physical space, and then you got the digital metaverse space being blended together. But looking at the wearable side of that, I think it's only natural, right, that maybe you have wearables that are available IRL that people can purchase on your website, but then the mirror wearable is available in the metaverse as well. Any thoughts towards wearables and really kind of leaning into that phygital angle of your business there?
I want to do it. I couldn't figure out a strategy that made sense for April 14th for NFT NYC. But for sure, t-shirt printing is something that I really wanted to do. So the way I've been doing all of my artwork and promotional material, I've been using Midjourney. I love Midjourney, not even for just its technological achievements. It's just, for me, it gives me, I was talking to journalists about this actually the other day. It gives me another type of digital dopamine when I'm on it, and I can't get off of it. I'm stuck for at least 15 minutes straight, on my phone, just refreshing and just creating new shit, because it's just so cool. But if you go into my fifth dimension space and you go upstairs to the second floor, you can see all the initial art that I had with my concept of what I wanted my pieces to look like and the color scheme and what the theme is about. And those, if you click on them too, they're all unwearable, they're all purchasable, but I'm going to start by putting those out there onto t-shirts, right? And having them at my events. and I just haven't figured out what the strategy looks like for NFT NYC, because I'm making it free, right? And to get the shirts too, it costs money, right? So I'm not making money in the first place by selling tickets. So how am I gonna, take that gamble? I don't want to take the gamble, but for sure, the next event, right? There's going to be merch available.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So I'm clicking on this, and shout out to the NFTs on these dope Mid-Journey art pieces. $7 million though, Locutus. I don't know, bro. 3,900 Ethereum. You know
how crazy I am, right? And where this tech is going. And so you always hear people, right, in the space saying, don't price your art so low, where like you're gonna regret selling it, in like 10 years. Like, damn, I wish. These are the Genesis pieces, all right?
Not messing around.
Never.
This is the OG fifth dimension. It all started from these ones. There you go. Yeah. All right, so I just brought up the fifth dimension page. Man, this is dope. You never told me you had these NFTs live already. Granted, they are far out of my price range, but mad love. It's important. It's impressive, man. Very cool. So nice. You got the NFTs on here. Are you looking at using NFTs for fundraising for MetaDre Productions, maybe from a more micro donation perspective?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. There's going to be opportunities for anyone who comes in and who wants to support. I don't know if I want to tease that all just yet, but yes, there will be opportunities to support in that way. And taking it also to another level, if there is someone who wants to use my services, right, as a production company, right, that could be one form of payment,
No doubt.
Right? Just say, hey, can you produce this event for us? Yeah, sure. Do me a favor, buy my art.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
There's no limitations to the use cases there. So looking at NFT NYC, April 14th, give us a little bit of a breakdown of exactly, what you got planned there, what's happening, where's it happening, when's it happening, and how can people get involved?
Sure. So it is happening at the Sampler in Bushwick. It's going to be starting at 9 o'clock, April 14th on that Friday. It's meant to be an unofficial / official after party. We'll see if NFT NYC wants to recognize me or not. If not, I don't care. And it's just going to be all of us having a good time and hanging out. It's going to be our corner of Web3. It's going to be our culture, right? It's going to be the people who fuck with each other, right? People who just like hanging out, in these spaces. And we're cut of a certain cloth, and we just want to have a good time. Like, really, we're, I think you understand the vibes, right? Of, who we are and what we're about. And it's going to be 3 parts, right? So we're going to have the sponsorship part in the beginning, right? We're just going to say thank you and send flowers to the people who supported us and helped us out on this journey. And then Lil Sleazy's going to come on at 10 o'clock. Lo, if you don't already know, amazing human. And he's going to be performing. I'm not going to say exactly what he's performing, but you should watch. You should step in, right, virtually and see what he's performing. And then at night, after Lo comes on, we're going to have the Landlords of House. Landlords of House, amazing group of DJs out. They're out of Uptown, Bronx, and Washington Heights. They have just an incredible mix of hip hop, Latin trap, reggaeton, and house music. It's an incredible just set that you're going to listen to. You're going to be like, holy shit, this is one of the greatest experiences, and just you're going to vibe out. You're going to have a good time. Lots of laughs, lots of fun, and just stay tuned. Come and join us.
That's what's up. Shout out to Locutus. That's really exciting, man. Looking forward to that. And will people be able to jump into the fifth dimension space to kind of view it remotely, or will there be a different metaverse space set up for people to jump in and view the event remotely?
This event will be broadcasted with the help of Biometa, right, across every major metaverse, right, and it'll be available both as a 2D version, right, through Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, and as a 3D version through YouTube VR, and viewable for sure through Swivel Meta in 3D in the metaverse.
Dope. So when you say you're getting help to have that kind of multi-streamed out to different metaverses, what does that look like, and how easy or difficult is that to execute? You're saying that Swivel Meta is helping make that possible?
I'll show you right now. Let me screen share, and I'll give you another example.
Okay, but for those who are just listening, from how would you describe that happening?
Sure. Might be easy to describe while I'm doing it.
Okay, cool.
So let's do that. Okay.
So if you're going to be in NYC, definitely make sure April 14th, drop by 234 Star Street in Brooklyn. It's going to be going down, opening doors at 9 p.m. All right. Let's jump over to the other cam here.
All right. So what I'm about to show everyone right now, and for those who can't see, so it's a little meta. So if you can replay back, you can come back to where I'm going to say, welcome to the fifth dimension. Okay. So the fifth dimension, what we're doing, it's a video. You see workflow on there. You have inside of a Twitch screen, you have Swivel Meta as a little panel inside of a stream of Decentraland, and then this entire broadcast of Swivel Meta and Decentraland is inside of a Twitch stream, which is then being streamed inside of voxels. All right, so there's different metaverses, right, that are all participating into this broadcast, right, at the same time. So here's another example, all right, and we're taking this another step further. So this is a screen with the fifth dimension, with Swivel, with Decentraland, all overlaid on top of a movie, right, Friday. And then this entire broadcast is being broadcasted into the fifth dimension, into the boxes.
That's wild, man.
Yeah,
it's gonna be crazy to see in action live. And so yeah, definitely for the rest of the community, having that opportunity to really jump in and take part remotely, I think is going to be a big part of the advantage of what you're doing there with MetaDre Productions. It's really exciting, man. So looking at, leaning into the DAOs and the community angle of it, how important do you think, decentralized autonomous organizations are, and specifically, how is the community helping you along your path?
How important are they? And insanely important. I think that right now there's a lot of negative connotation behind DAOs. I hear that people think that they're just too hard to run. There's a lot of it also doesn't run as fast as it could because of the amount of cooks in the kitchen. I also hear negative feedback about how the original purpose that gets diluted, right, by everyone who has different values being added to it, right? So that there's that one purpose that's taken down, which is why it's so important that you have those principles and those values set from day one, right? And at Storytime DAO, right, I know we've been trying to really figure out what that process looks like, and we're doing the work. Like we're really trying to figure out our systems and how it can practically operate as an organization. That being said, I think they're incredibly valuable. And a use case scenario is every single IRL NFT event that's happened so far, right? Look at ETH Denver and how we got together and activated, right? NYC, how we got together and activated, right? Like this is what it's for, right? The purpose of the DAO, our DAO, right? I'm not saying all DAOs, but our DAO specifically, right? We fulfilled our purpose and to be able to help support each other as artists and as creatives into just getting our name out there, right? In creating the art that we need to, and helping each other out with different business strategies, with different technical capacities too. So, to that effect, I'm grateful, right, that I even fell into this in the first place, to be able to see this coming to fruition. And it's only a matter of time before those kinks are worked out. We're really like the first ones, I think, to like really put our foot in and work it in this capacity. And there's a saying, right, the first through the door is the bloodiest. But from that we learned a ton, right, and it is working, right, for not for nothing. Like we are, I think, killing it, right?
I think so, and it's one step at a time, right? To your point, we now have stuff on the chain from the last NFT NYC. We've got stuff on the chain at Miami, you know, with our first connection with Illust, where we actually had AR files and the first proof of participation tokens that were claimed in Miami. You know, and then now we just had a few more tokens on the chain claimed at ETH Denver, and now we're looking at NFT NYC, where we're going to have an art walk happening. We're going to have your awesome event with its own proof of participation, and then Low Sleazy's got his really dope Sleazy quest going down. If you haven't already checked that out, check out Low Sleazy's Twitter for information on that. So that's really exciting too. And yeah, exactly. You know, so one step at a time, we're building up more and more of a catalog of, you know, works of art on the blockchain, but also just taking it part in actual events IRL in the real world, and showing, you know, that we're consistent about that, and you have a kind of growing community, and there's a lot of value in that. You know, you go to these Web3 events, and some are well attended, some are not so well attended, some skew very heavily to only one demographic, and don't have maybe the diversity that they would like to have. And so we as a collective have the opportunity to really lean into, I think, that value of, you know, being Web3 beatniks, as you said, and being, you know, really committed to the tech, but also wanting to see the culture flourish, wanting to see good projects survive and find success, and actually being able to offer that help, you know, from a collective standpoint, I think is really powerful. So yeah, shout out to you, Locutus. I think that legal background really came in handy, you know, looking at Storytime DAO and how we were trying to do the hard part first, you know, laying out that charter and laying out a lot of the key kind of foundational language about the vision. You know, I don't know if you want to speak to that a little bit, just about governance and kind of maybe how your background, you know, can help in this DAO space. You know, how do you think the whole decentralization versus centralization? I think you have to start out fairly centralized, even if it's an elected body, you know, kind of setting out the foundation and having everyone kind of be clear about what's the direction we're taking. So how does that kind of play in, and how does your background in kind of law maybe help inform the governance side of DAOs and how things are evolving?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I really like just been at conflict as to what going to law school and becoming an attorney really means for me, right? Because I originally did it just to have a safe job, right? Just to like have something that I know I can fall back on. And real estate was pretty safe. I didn't think that was going anywhere, but for me, it wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't really doing it for me. And I just think that I wanted to work on. I'm discovering now. I don't mind being an attorney. The type of law work that I was doing just wasn't intellectually stimulating enough. It wasn't fulfilling enough, right? I just couldn't keep on doing the same thing over and over again. And that's what real estate is, right? Real estate is just there's someone buying, there's someone selling, right? Money's got to move from one to the other. Everyone's got to make sure that the house or whatever property looks good, right? And that's it. It's the same thing over and over again. And you don't really, you know, see. You don't really get into ethical discussions. You don't really get into like just grander scheme, right? Things that you can deal with as far as like cultural, social, economic, right? Things that you kind of just down in the minutia, unless you're like at that level, like politically and all that. And it's kind of a grimy road. I don't want to go down that, you know, in that capacity. So I've been just trying to figure out for me, you know, what does that look like and how I can incorporate all this. And I'm starting to lean to go back into the law, but more so on a civil rights aspect. And I don't know. I've always had this desire in me to find a voice for the voiceless, right? To bring justice in some way. And I think it's also another thing that really resonates with me in Web3, right? Is the fact that we are trying to, you know, just use what is ours, right? At the end of the day, like when you have intellectual property, right? When you have something that you created, right? To be able to just get that out there, right, without any gatekeepers, right? Anyone standing in your way, and that's something that, you know, just it really struck me. It was like, oh, you know, this is something that people are fighting for right now in the space, and that's pretty cool. Like I like that, you know, and there's a good fight behind it. So, yeah. That being said, I was really enthusiastic about working on the charter for Storytime DAO to be able to handle, right, these kinds of concepts, right? Is how do we operate internationally with people in different scenarios, different situations, right? As effectively as possible. And as practically as possible, right? Under different jurisdictions, different time zones, different ideologies, and what does that look like, right? What does that document? What does that body of work look like to make that happen? So that was really interesting and fun thing I got to work on, and I think I want to do more of it, to be honest.
Yeah, well, we have more of it to do, I think. So
Yeah.
we're gonna keep plugging away on some of the paperwork and administrative side. But to your other point, we're making progress and we're showing that we exist as a community. And I think we're doing cool stuff that no one else is doing, frankly. So we'll see. We'll keep leaning into it, keep building. But yeah, appreciate you and been learning a lot from you. And I think we're all learning from each other, as we kind of build this space. And nobody's doing it perfectly. You look at DAOs that have basically kind of evaporated over the last 2 years, 3 years. Even those that were crazy well funded got millions of dollars, and they've got 5 people in a Discord talking.
Yeah.
They have like thousands of members, but 5 active people actually trying to talk and pull things together, right? Shout out to Ingrid in the chat throwing up the flames. Appreciate you. Yeah, so that's awesome, man, and I'm glad that you've found that rewarding, and I have also found it rewarding, especially as well as the Dream Conduit side of things. And really on the Dream Conduit DAO, we're focused on really onboarding, and it's been really rewarding seeing the different kind of levels of buy-in. Like some people are still not very pro crypto and they actually think it's too insecure and too they basically follow a lot of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt out there, and some of which is justifiable, but then there's others who just see the value in NFTs and see the value of being able to have this new avenue of creator economy to create some revenue for themselves, but ultimately they just want the fiat to be able to pay the bills, right? And that's a great application as well, so there's no downside. And then you have the real hardcores like us who are like, yeah, Web3 to the core and just want to see the technology take off and kind of go to that next level. So with that in mind, do you have a preferred kind of trajectory for the metaverse, since you've clearly you're bought in, your MetaDre Productions is all about combining metaverse and IRL? Is there a preferred angle you see kind of the metaverse evolving, or do you think that there's going to be so many different angles that you just have to kind of choose your own lane? How do you see that evolution happening?
Yeah, Ready Player One and The Matrix, right? It's going to be all of it and none of it. Everyone's going to have their own thing. But it's the same way we came up with technology too, right? If you want to spend your entire life playing World of Warcraft, right? Go for it. That's on you. That's the world you want to live in, right? But if you want to just have a different digital online experience, right? You can be an Instagram influencer, right? A creator, right? Someone who's like streaming all day long, right? Everyone has their different capacities as how they want to exist, right? In this virtual version of themselves. And it's just how it's human nature. It's how we're just gonna exist going forward, and it's up to you. It's up to you how you want to embrace life. For me, I love music. I love going out to clubs. I love going to concerts. I love just being there in that moment with those people too. And I get super FOMO when I can't go to something, right? And so for me, I think 360, right, is and VR is the best way to experience that, right, as much as I can without too much burden, right?
No.
So I'm just trying to just take that to the next level, and that's how I want to be, right? As my virtual version of myself. If I can't spend most of my time in real life, right, going to these events, right, I'm gonna spend my time enjoying music in 360 in VR.
I dig it. So I did want to pick your brain a little bit more on the AI subject. I think there's an opportunity for AI to make the events, maybe a little bit more innovative, create new avenues that people hadn't thought of before by basically asking ChatGPT maybe, or even just from the art side. It looks like, you've created basically some really cool brand identity using Midjourney, like you just mentioned. So how do you think AI is impacting the event space, and how would you like to see it impact the event space?
Yeah, so the Van Gogh experiences, right? There's a bunch of them out there. Architect House, all these places where they just projection map onto like all the walls and recreate a new thing. That's where this is all going. And I'm actually looking to go back to school for virtual production. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I know I need to at some point, just because that's the way this is all going. There's a school right now. There's a company, CG Pro, I think. They're pretty much like they're one of the top dogs in virtual production. Um, Disguise is another program that a lot of people are using in virtual production, and it's just crazy what the tech does right now. And it's not just in live events; it's just television, it's film, it's everything. So, Star Trek in Discovery, in the series Discovery, they started playing with this new giant AR. It's an XR wall that they have. So it's a film studio with essentially bendable LED screens that then you can recreate worlds. You can create worlds in Unity or in Blender, whatever it is, right? And you can then put that onto a live physical set. So where the actors, right, are walking, you can have props to like have the actors walk around it, but your environment is not only like dropped in, it's also immersive. So the environment moves as the actor moves. It's an entirely new way of producing.
Wow.
Yeah, and just taking that, to any level, to any extent, you can have that in a real life event. So one concept that I had, one concept that I had that I want to do for the Gorillas, for example. I just love the Gorillas as a concept. Like they're amazing artists, but they're also really just genius creatives. And as far as they're always the first ones to be pushing that tech, right? To be going to that next level. And I wanted to, I would love an opportunity to be able to work on a Gorillaz concert where every song that they perform is entirely immersive and in 3D in a new environment, right? For the people actually there at the event, right? It's the way it's all going. There's another. I think it's Disguise. Actually, I saw this video. It was cool. So in Disguise, what you can do is now you can just take one of those. You just take a camera and put it on top of a car and drive down a street in New York City, right? And as you drive down that street in New York City, it'll capture, right, everything on the street. You can then digitally stitch all that together in the software, right? And then you can use AI, right, to then say, throw in a UFO popping out, right, in the middle of that street, right? So like you have your set, which costs you basically nothing, right, to like get down there. As opposed to spending literally like thousands of dollars to get a crew down there,
get the permits.
Exactly, right. Just literally just walk down just drive down Central Park with a camera, right? So you can have actual Central Park on like I don't know, March 25th, 2023, right? And have like what Central Park look like that, but then have it appear where a UFO comes out of the sky, right? And then you can create the Watchmen, right? Because that's the plot of the comic book, right? So we're there. Like the tech is already here, right? And it's just a matter of now where the people are going to take it, right? Where it's going to go and what it is that we can imagine. It's exciting stuff.
Yeah, no doubt, no limits. Sky is the limit. So looking at the impacts there of something like that, when looking at using AI in the event space, do you think it's going to be mostly on the kind of marketing and promotional content side, or do you think that like actual clubs will find ways to kind of integrate AI to optimize their kind of attendee experience?
Yeah, I'm literally playing with that right now.
Taking all the alpha out of you.
Yeah. So let me see if I can. Well, I'll screen share all that. But Touch Designer is the software that I'm using right now to create this filter on here, and it's only a matter of time before AI gets into Touch Designer. And when that touches it, I mean, the amount of capabilities of what you can provide as a live event experience is unlimited. So I'll give you an example. As a DJ, right, you can map different video and audio filters and effects directly to the DJ's controller. So let's just say it's just the volume knob, right? That volume knob can increase something or decrease something. So you can then use AI to say, all right, now this controller that I MIDI mapped, right, I want to increase the amount of sparkly green lights depending on how the crowd is jumping and moving, right? And then with that, throw on another AI filter where they all look like aliens, right? And just through like the volume knob on the DJ, right? Like this can all happen in real time, like in the event, and everyone could watch this happening with it projected all along the walls. Like the possibilities are endless is what you can do with all this, and we're right there. It's really exciting.
Sick. So you're seeing basically AV integration and really taking the immersive experience to that next level through AI, but then also through the use of screens, because I think some of those things, like you're saying with the AR filter over their faces and things like that, you'd have to have a screen kind of for reference, right? Or at least maybe use your phone in the club too as an option, but probably you want to have those up on a screen in there so everyone can kind of see it happening and take advantage of it all at the same time. And that's awesome. I hadn't thought about any of that when looking at AI, but that makes so much sense. Just think about that DJ booth. Think about what that DJ booth is going to evolve to in the next 5 years. Like all those little knobs and things, they're all going to have all these different AI attachments, and that's crazy.
It's going to be a production booth. It's not going to be a DJ booth. It's going to be both audio and visual, right?
Wow, that's awesome. Powered by AI and AR and really the metaverse. Who knows? Yeah, you'll be able to connect those knobs to like things happening in the digital space too, right?
Yeah.
Damn. Andrea's on the forefront of all this, man. That's really exciting. Do you have, I always like to ask people about this, even though it goes against the blockchain agnosticism that we like to support here, but do you have a preferred blockchain, and do you see kind of any one blockchain really, primed for what you're trying to envision here?
I'm not technologically adept enough to be able to answer that question. I only use Ethereum just because of voxels, pretty much. Like that's why. No, but I also really don't see the use case capacity outside of Ethereum. Like it's really like making its standing statement out there as far as for what I'm working on, right? I think just everything that I've been able to want to figure out myself as far as my projects go and how I can implement that. Ethereum has always been the best case solutions and most widely adopted solutions, right? There might be other ones that make more sense, but we just don't know about it yet. Like Swivel Meta, right? Like it's something that came on my radar last month. But there's definitely tech coming out there. I just don't know. But right now, Ethereum's doing the work for me. I like it a lot. Yeah.
And I often say one reason I'm partial to Ethereum, or why I will always continue to support it, for one, it was kind of the first tech in NFTs that I really, jumped in full bore. Although I definitely give a shout out to Tezos as well, because they had amazing art. But on the metaverse, which this whole episode has been about, Ethereum's really the only game in town taking that metaverse to the next level, that digital ownership to the next level. I've heard about a couple Solana pieces. I think there might be a Tezos metaverse somewhere, but they just don't have the adoption. They don't have the buy-in. They don't have the community, So shout out to Ethereum, because whether it's Sandbox, whether it's Voxels, whether it's Decentraland, Somnium Space, they are all super decentralized and really radical in the level of kind of ownership, digital ownership that they're making possible for people. So definitely not like a super ETH maxi, but in the space of the metaverse, I don't think anyone can deny that Ethereum's kind of leading the pack and really making a lot of things possible for those of us who are trying to build out in the digital space and really push the limits of what's possible. So definitely looking forward to April 14th. Locutus is really exciting, man. Really, really grateful to have you on the show here. One thing we always like to ask our guests as we wind down, and also anybody in the chat, thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, now's your chance to get them in as we're winding down soon. But what do you say to those? And like you said, you've been talking about this with some people in New York. A lot of the usual event folks out there still don't necessarily see the value in what you're doing and the connection between the metaverse and the club, the IRL events. So what do you say to those people who, doubt the vision, or maybe they doubt the lasting impact of the metaverse, so how are you kind of pitching it for the long term as a viable business plan?
Yeah, it's so funny. This week I worked on this event. It was a corporate shareholder meeting for a healthcare company at the Mandarin Oriental Hotel at Columbus Circle.
All right.
And I get there and we built an LED wall for it. We set up 3 cameras and then we did the lights for it, right? But bro, these cameras, like, they're like out of the fucking Stone Age. Like, these cameras are like ancient, but like this is a massive corporation. This place is like, Mandarin Oriental isn't cheap, right? to get the venue there and the size wall. And I'm like, yo, like the technology you guys are using to broadcast this is what? And it's crazy that there's so much just opportunity out there to really jump on it. And what do I say to those people is that these people can't even wrap their heads around it until I walk them through it the way I just did with you, right? If I just tell you, hey, why don't you just put your corporate shareholder presentation in the metaverse and be like, go away. Like they're like, who are you? Like you're just some crazy kid. No, but you really have to like step by step walk into this is the capability and all that. But then ultimately the hardest thing is going to be mass adoption, right? Is just how many people can then use it on their end, and that's really my thing. Just trying to figure out and staying on top of trends is figuring out what is the best metaverse, right? What is the best delivery system to get this on, and a little more alpha. So I think we're going to go through a huge popular shift in opinion about all this very soon because of what Apple is doing with their glasses. Once Apple comes out with their glasses, this is really going to take off. Like everyone's going to be about this again. It's going to be another, it's going to be another bull market, right? Everyone's going to be like, oh, metaverse is metaverse, because we're going to be, just using VR a lot more. We're going to see it in our more day-to-day life, and we're going to have a lot more applications, a lot more people, right? Not only using it, but also inventing on it. So
no doubt.
It'll get there eventually. It's still a little bit of ways off, but right now I'm just trying to stay on top of it. Just want to be in the forefront.
That's sick. Shout out to OSB VMT. Appreciate the follow. Giving a shout out in the chat. Much love.
That's Biometa.
That's Biometa. All right, let's go. Thanks for dropping in. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate you. We're live every Saturday. That sounds amazing, man. So how do you really think that that hesitance, how do you think that's going to evolve? And do you think that we had a guest, Dr. Jane Pryor, talk about how, there's the Zuckerberg metaverse, and then there's kind of the Web3 metaverse and the gamer metaverse, which I like to blend the two, Web3 and gamer, because I think once gamers really see the value in Web3, they're all going to flock over here. But that contradiction, that contrast, I should say, of that corporate kind of, we're going to suck up your data and monetize it as much as possible, versus kind of the Web3 and the gamer, let's do it for fun, let's do it for the culture, and let's create real ownership for those who are taking part. How do you see that kind of contrast evolving, and, are you worried about any of that?
Yes, because it is another contrast. So what I can imagine that the space ends up looking like is that you're going to have the legacy tech companies like Apple, like Facebook, who answer to legacy investors and shareholders, institutions, right? The money that moves around in those circles in our world. What they'll understand is that it's human nature. So when you're investing in a company like Apple and like Facebook, right, you as an investor, as the ones who have the real power and move things around, like we're not talking about like, a couple $100 in Robinhood, we're talking millions of dollars, right, that you're putting in to have a voting right and to, have real influence into where this place is going. You only care about yourself, right? You only care about your end dollars and how can I just make more money for myself? And I'm sure when you get to a certain level, right, you're like, oh, I want to do good for the planet and everything, but it's just human nature to be self-serving. So what I am afraid that is happening right now is that with ChatGPT, and they really fucked everything up in a crazy way. When ChatGPT really came out and everyone started like understanding like what was happening in AI, everybody pivoted. Everyone, any tech company who was doing anything, they're like, oh shit, we gotta invest into this right now. Everyone create a team, right? Like start projects, like let's get into AI. And what I'm afraid is gonna happen is that we're gonna see an ecosystem where it's a new type of digital dopamine that they'll be selling back to us. So the reason why MySpace and then Facebook really like took off is because they found out that this new digital dopamine, right, before it was AIM, right, before it was instant messaging and emails, right, and like, oh, we can communicate with each other in real time and faster. I like this psychologically. I'm all about this. And now with social media, you're like, oh, what I can see what my friends are doing in real time and update that, right, and I can share with them and we can interact in that way, in that capacity, right? Digital dopamine, right, keeps on going. The next thing I'm telling you, it's going to happen. It's going to be an immersive, right, experience where I'm going to be able to share, right, my event. I'm part of the problem. I'm going to be sharing my event, right, and giving digital dopamine to people who want to watch Lil Sleazy, right? They'll be like, oh, hey, jump in and watch this. But what I see, what I think that it's going to happen on a bigger level is that you're going to have Facebook, who already has all of your, entire life history, right? If you're of that age, right? Instagram, TikTok, like they're like people, we're at that point right now where the AI can recreate all of your photos, all of your videos, and you can create 3D digital scenes and sets from just that picture, from just that video. We're already there, right?
Yeah.
It's already gone. So now Facebook can recreate from when you were 21 years old, right? That bar scene that you were there hanging out with your friends, right? And what are they going to do? They're going to resell that back to you.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to resell back to you in VR, in 360, that new type of digital dopamine for you to re-experience your past experiences, right? In that capacity. And we gave them all information already, like nothing, right? Because we couldn't even fathom, like where this was going back then, right? But now we're at that point where like this is where the tech is going, and this is how the companies are going to try and make money off of us, right? Because other than that, what do they need us for?
Man, that's somewhat dystopian, but also at the same time already taking place right now. So it's not really that dystopian when you consider the fact that that's the current business model that most people are going off of, and just mining our data and using it. And, what do you think about this concept that Web3, the transition from Web 2 to Web3, is also about that shift in ownership of your data, and that shift in understanding that your data is very valuable and that you should not be willy-nilly jumping onto this platform and that platform? Personally, it's why I've not really been following the latest shiny object, which is AI. I'm definitely very much just focused on metaverse and NFTs and blockchain for the financial impacts. And I think AI is cool from a creator tool perspective, and definitely like what you've created here is awesome, and I can see all the different use cases for it. But from a data perspective, and especially considering Microsoft now owns ChatGPT, I just think that it's so clearly another, like you just mentioned, the next wave of data mining, and basically taking your data for nothing, or actually making you pay to give your data up in the case of ChatGPT now. It's really it boggles my mind. Yeah. Are we changing or are we not changing is the question. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I actually didn't answer like fully your last question, right? Which is like where's that contrast lead to? And that's it, right? It's now you have Web3, right? People who are about this new dynamic of data ownership, right? Going against, right, the legacy people, right? The legacy mindset of thinking, the legacy people who just want to extract, right? And create a dystopian future, right, where they're going to be selling this shit back to us, right? And that's where I see this going. Where there's going to be those two sides, and unfortunately, right, I don't want to admit it, but that's just where the numbers are at the end of the day, right? We just don't have the resources, right, that they do. We have a different fight though, and I think the fight that we're fighting is a cultural one. And I think that's the one that's really gonna hold us strong, right? Is the one that like we're gonna say, hey, yeah, you guys can do all that, you guys check out, but if you can understand our culture and what we're doing here, right? This is in our opinion, right, a better way, I think, to navigate what's happening and what's unfolding.
Right. Embracing data sovereignty, I think, might be the angle. Beyond even just financial sovereignty, actually understanding that your data is very valuable, and think about where you're plopping your data in. And really, I mean, I think AI should be open, just like OpenAI was meant to be in its initial inception, right? And it's really sad that, frankly, that Microsoft has a majority stake in it, and that now, we've going from the concept of open AGI, really, which is like general intelligence, right? And actually backtracking, and so I'm very concerned from a data perspective how that's going to evolve. But I do think, to my other question, if the Web3 cultural ethos is your data is valuable, don't give it to anyone, and definitely don't pay someone to give it to them, if that is the change, then maybe, like you're saying, the cultural war can still be won, even if the kind of antiquated traditional industry people will continue to try to pilfer data. So do you think Web3 people like us will usher in kind of a new wave of internet where, you know, and kudos to Apple, frankly. You just gave kudos to Apple on their glasses, but kudos to them kind of seeing the writing on the wall on the data sovereignty argument, right? Because they started coming in with the opportunity to actually opt out of certain data surveillance and things like that, which Facebook hated them for, and actually I think tried to take them to court to prevent them from actually allowing their users to opt out of those kind of giving away that level of data. So do you think that that shift is something that is going to be kind of a winning, or maybe a next digital culture war, you could say, and is Web3 at the forefront of, you know, pushing back against the data miners and the data stealers?
I want to say, you know, I hope so, but I know it's not the case, because I'm cynical when it comes to money, right, at that level. Like, I think for optics, right, Apple wants to have this certain psychological positive perspective from its consumers, right? And that's why they put out things like that, is because they want to create this. We use this word all the time, but it's this ethos, right, about the company, and about how they're righteous, right? They're just, like, look like Steve Jobs, like, that man can do no wrong, you know, like they had just a certain perception that they have, but at the end of the day, it's still a corporation, and you still answer to shareholders, right? And the shareholders are the one who are going to ultimately steer that ship. And so that being said, with the glasses, right, like they're going to be at the forefront of mining all of our data, right? When these glasses come into mass adoption, like it's just, it's so crazy, because they're the ones who are going to be feeding, like, they're the practical aspect of this data mining. Like, they are the hardware, right, of this entire ecosystem. So I think of, like, Apple being, like, the forefront. I think of Musk and his shit as the back end. So, like, I don't know if you want me to go down this rabbit hole. About,
you can, sure.
So, all right. So Apple being the tech, right? Apple being the hardware in the forefront, right? So you got it's MacBooks, it's AirPods, it's going to be the glasses, right? So they right now, I think the reason why they're just at the top is because they have the best hardware to mass adopt. Okay, so everyone, like, feels safe and comfortable around Apple, right? Apple's like cushy. It's like Disney tech. I think of it that way, right? It's like it's like, oh, you know, it's for everybody. And because of that, right, like that's the start of data mining. That's the start of data collection. You said ChatGPT is now owned by Microsoft, but the original team, right, founded by Musk, okay, and like his systems are right behind where all that's going. Musk has Starlink all around the world, and as becoming a new type of ISP, right, internet service provider, he has completely unfiltered access to all of your data, right? So who's feeding, right, Musk all that data? It's going to be, right, the glasses on your face. It's going to be your phone that you're logging into, your iPhone, right? It's going to be able to give that. When people think, you know, like, oh, I got a VPN, right, and I got you know, or I'm going on private mode in my browser, right? Like, that's enough. It's not. Yeah. Your ISPs can see everything, right? And what Musk is trying to do is give free internet to the world. And in exchange, you give them free access to all your data, right there. Now it's not just going to be data that's it's not just going to be data that's going to be translated. It's not just like text data, right? It's going to be then audio and visual data that we're also going to give it to them. And how do you synthesize all that is using AI, right? Is now combining the text, audio, and visual to be able to then give you a better profile on what it is that you're trying to pull up or reference to. So you got Musk with the satellites, and not just that, the satellites also have full real-time 5G video surveillance for the entire planet right now. For just a click, right? So they can watch everything. So now Musk has
all-seeing eye.
Yeah, Musk has all-seeing eye, right, vertically. With the Tesla cars and all the LiDAR radars around Tesla cars, right, that's all-seeing eye horizontally, right? So you have vertical, horizontal, right? And the only thing you couldn't get past before, right, up until now is going to be inside of buildings, inside of walls. And guess what? You're going to have your fucking glasses on, right, everywhere you go. this shit is nuts, bro.
That is wild, man. That is wild. All right, so you're putting a dent in my rosy Web3 picture for data sovereignty, but I definitely can't argue with your points, and I think you're likely accurate. And my hope would be that whether it's Elon Musk, whether it's Apple, that some certain players would at least be more cognizant and a little bit more transparent about their data operations, whereas I do feel that Facebook and even Google, to a lesser extent, have been very kind of playing their cards close to the chest kind of thing, especially Facebook, where they basically didn't say anything and acted like, oh, it's such a great tool, don't mind us, brainwashing and changing the narrative and, feeding you stuff that is going to increase your dopamine, whether or not it's true, or not.
Look, but that's them trying to go the Apple route, right? You look at it that way. Like, why did they get into the hardware game?
Yeah.
Mass adoption, right, onto that data mining shit, right? And they're coming out trying to be all cute and Disney like.
Yeah. No, well, that's the whole thing. And I think that they already did themselves a lot of disservice on the data side. And, maybe I was overly generous to Apple, but I do think they are fairly transparent with their data mining that they do. And that, of course, that's still an active kind of monetization angle for every tech company. And there's always going to be some level of data being taken. But my hope is that they can be transparent and that we demand transparency around those data practices. And even Facebook has been forced to be a bit more transparent, and Google as well. But looking at hardware, I don't want to put the Oculus on my face. I don't want to give Facebook my eyeballs, but, I would be open to Apple, and I would give Apple my eyeballs. So,
exactly.
And that's not to say that they're, yeah, I know. So there's always going to be an angle. And ultimately I embrace the digital renaissance. I embrace the idea that these tools are going to make life easier and they are going to open up new windows of opportunity that were closed prior. So I think it's a balancing act. And, that's why we're on the forefront of this. We're excited about it. We want to be part of the people, advocating for the right kind of change, and advocating for data sovereignty, financial sovereignty, real ownership in this digital space. So awesome conversation. Locutus,
sorry,
really...
I want to end it on a not so dystopian note and a very positive note. Good. All right. So all this being said, and how nuts the world is right now, which is why it is that much more important to invest in education. All right. Specifically, right. STEM, specifically quantum computing, right? Quantum physics. That's going to be the field that I think is going to take us out of this bullshit, right? And this paradigm that we exist in right now. Once people start realizing the capabilities of what quantum computing can do and how it can disrupt everything, right? It's really going to take us to that next level. So quantum communications, for example. So right now, Musk still has legacy communication systems between the satellites and our servers down here on Earth, right? Once we figure out this new method of being able to then stream all this data, right, at a subatomic level, and figuring out new systems where we can move this data just differently and without their systems, I really do think that that's the future. That's the way out, right? Is to have this technology that's going to be just even more decentralized, even more available to everybody. It's for me, that's really what I'm most interested in. Honestly, on top of all Web3, I really am curious and I'm paying attention to what's happening in that space, because that is. I think is what's gonna save humanity. I think ultimately is once we get to a certain level of just understanding quantum physics and understanding how we can move in the fifth dimension to just do what we need to get by. We can really get rid of a lot of things, and I'm talking about getting rid of the need for money. I'm talking about getting rid of world hunger. There are so many crazy solutions being proposed right now, using just these techniques, and I'm this is
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned the fifth dimension and the idea that quantum computing can basically solve the world's problems, period. We have some of the solutions in place that we know the world's, problems could be solved by, that are just not being enacted, whether that's universal basic income, whether that's, other kinds of policies to address hunger at a very base level, the most basic kind of levels of hunger that we know we can provide that we're just not. But to do that in a way that's just so clearly not only doable, but actually profitable potentially, and actually taking a proactive kind of step to really advocate for those kind of changes. So yeah, quantum computing is going to be a really interesting one to see how that impacts things and how that changes. Shout out to Biometa. He said, we're being viewed on 20 different platforms right now in 6 different metaverses. Let's go.
Yeah, let's
Appreciate
go.
you, Biometa. That's what's up. You got the 3 Twitch screens going on different metaverses. All right, let's go check it out quick. Yeah, no, that's awesome. So when you're looking at this kind of work that you're doing and the fact that quantum computing is pretty much going to change everything, how worried about are you when it comes to like speculation and kind of like long-term investments that this all just like changes 2 years from now? But are you just here for the learning either way?
No, I'm not worried at all. I'm excited about it. I'm gonna try and push it as much as I can. Even if I still like been pushing it. I'm not really worried though. Like I'm waiting to see teleportation happen, right? And like we're getting to that point. No, it's like nuts, bro. So like,
beam me up, Scotty.
yeah, no, like that's literally like what quantum computing is being able to take just atoms, right? Literally subatomically, like you shoot a laser at it, right, at a certain angle, and you hit like an electron, you move it around to another place and have it reappear somewhere else. Like once we understand how to start moving matter, right, subatomically, like that is our planet just won't be the same. Like we're talking about food, world hunger, right? Like imagine just like, oh, there's someone who's starving in Africa, right? Yo, I just made some fucking fried rice in my kitchen. I'll teleport it over to you guys.
That's wild. I just like particle wise, I don't see how that's possible, but I know you're on that Star Trek wave, you know, it'll happen one day.
Yep.
Oh man, that's next level, man. Well, shout out to Biometa. I saw the 2 screens going there. That's really cool. We getting super meta today on this conversation. Nice, lots of layers to it, lots of different angles streaming in the metaverse. Appreciate that. Love to see it. And on your point about the 5th dimension, you know, it's interesting because you hear that type of talk sometimes from kind of new age spiritualist type of circles, right? And I think to your point about the fact that quantum computing and that really this whole metaverse space is kind of the 5th dimension, is this new kind of digital space that is just an extension of our reality. You can't say it's not real. We can go in there and be involved in it and have real world connections with people that you didn't know prior to jumping in there, right? So how, last question, we're getting real philosophical here, but on the 5th dimension piece, you know, and the impacts that it has to humanity, really, you know, how much do you see that kind of blending of the kind of new age, maybe spiritual angle of the 5th dimension blending with this type of kind of purely technological, you know, new angle of reality dimension? Do you see that at all, or are you not as interested in the kind of spiritual side of things?
That's why I named my space the 5th dimension, right? Because this is what we're seeing now, is that with both science, technology, well, with science, technology, and spiritualism, right, we're seeing how it really is all connected, right? And how it really is just one and the same, and how once we figure out, you know, just what that looks like, we can, you know, just use it to help better our society. So the first time I ever felt God, right? And I never really talked religion or spirituality like that in general. I just never came up like that. I never, you know, but it was after a mushroom trip, right? And that really fucked me up. Yeah, because I didn't think, right? Like if you look at mushrooms, right? Like mushrooms are atoms, right? Mushrooms are just like a physical, right, substance, right? And there are certain chemical compounds in it, right, that are gonna then react chemically inside of me, right, at a atomic level, right? And then that's going to make me experience and perceive certain things in a certain way, right? Not so different than what's happening, right, with the metaverse right now, and how we're just experiencing and perceiving certain things, right? Except instead of it being atoms, right, it's just being bits, right? It's just being qubits and data, right? And it's just getting blurred and blurred, right? The more that we understand, right, this technology, and the more that we create new technologies, and I think it's going to come to a point where we're going to see that they are, you know, parallel systems to each other. I think they are the same exact things. It's just like one is a physical and one is a metaphysical, right, medium that we're trying to create these same systems around, right? Everything works essentially the same, right? And what is data? Like, what is technology? Like, everything that we're running on our computer, right? Our computers, like processors, right? Our CPUs are just literally millions of electrons just running back and forth, right? And then like hitting a calculator, physically hitting ones and zeros, right, to come across. Like it's
That's the truth. That's the
yeah,
truth.
it's exciting. It's all just really cool stuff to just watch and unfold and to be a part of.
No doubt, no doubt. I'm with you there. Yeah, no, I think it's interesting, you know, because it's not our physical body, but it is our mind extending into this digital space, right? And some might say it's our soul or our spirit, you know, and that's all one and the same, right? It's that non-physical element of ourselves, you know, experiencing the space. So very cool esoteric point to kind of end our conversation on, I think. Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody who's in the chat and been watching. Last shout out for the event, Artificial Intelligence NFT NYC social event, April 14th, put on by MetaDre Productions, featuring Low Sleazy and the Landlords of House. We're going to be there at 234 Star Street, Brooklyn. Again, starts at 9 p.m. April 14th. Definitely be there. Shout out to the Nija DAO as well and Bionic Owl supporting the event. You know, we love our friend Charles over there. And yeah, any last words? Locutus, MetaDre. I call you Locutus because that's how I met you, and I'll always refer to you as Locutus.
That's another name. Yeah, I got to figure out what I'm going to use that as an artist name. But last thoughts. I really want to thank you for just being someone who's been an amazing partner in the space. And I don't know what it is about you, honestly. I just it's you know, metaphysical. It's the vibrations, right? I don't know what it is, right? But I, you know, just generally enjoy being in your company. And it's been a crazy trip. I'm excited to see where it's going to unfold. And then not just you, but everyone inside Storytime DAO, right? It's just an amazing group of people. And then further out into the Web3 community, right? Like, I think we're cool as shit. I love just being in the space. I love, you know, just talking about this. We could probably be here all day, you know, just bullshitting,
no doubt,
just
for real.
hanging out. Yeah. And again, right, that's what it comes down to. I think for me, like, you know, what am I searching for in all this is connectivity, right? It's community, it's creativity, and it's just being the best type of human that you want to be.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. I appreciate you and definitely feel likewise. And I often say, you know, it's the gaming and the metaverse that kind of pulled me into the space, but it's the culture and the community that's keeping me here. And it's really been amazing. And these conversations are always inspiring. And we really got into some pretty cool philosophical looks at the metaverse and at Web3 and how things are evolving, at the use of data and where things are going, for the better, for the worse, depending, you know, TBD. We'll see. Yeah. But I appreciate you, MetaDre, Andres. Looking forward to the event and connecting in NYC. And until next week, we will catch everybody in the metaverse. Peace out, everyone. Take care. God bless.
Peace.
Let's go.